Hey guys, James MCD Reviews here, and welcome to my monthly catch-up review for all the movies I watched in February and late January. Yeah, I quickly realized I posted that video way too early. But anyway, let's start off with The Tender Bar. This is an Amazon original based on the book by J.R. Maguire about a kid who moves into his grandpa's house in Long Island and, as he grows up, decides he wants to become a writer. This movie is just straight up charming. I loved being in this house with these characters and seeing their interactions was just so great. I thought the kid was a really great actor and worked well off the other family members. Christopher Lloyd is a joy as always, but the standout is Ben Affleck as Uncle Charlie. When we cut to the grown-up kid and his time in college, it was fine, but I wasn't as invested in this half of the movie as I was the first half. The payoff with his dad was really satisfying though. I'd highly recommend checking this movie out, with the caveat that the first half is much stronger than the second. I'd give it a 3.5 out of 5. Next up, Redeeming Love. This is the new religious movie, directed by DJ Caruso. It is hands down one of the worst movies I've seen this year, and also one of the most batshit insane movies I've seen, period. This movie is meant to be this wholesome Christian romance movie, but it has multiple scenes of graphic nudity, rape, beatings, forced sterilization, pedophilia, as well as a host of other things that I'm probably forgetting, and it's weird, especially when it's spliced in with these soothing scenes of this couple working on a farm with some generic country song in the background. This movie is way too long, it's horribly written, the characters are both pretty unlikable, and overall it was just a very unpleasant time. 1 out of 5, just skip it. Moonfall is the newest Roland Emmerich disaster movie. The guy that criticized the MCU for sucking all originality out of Hollywood and yet continues to make the same movie 12 different times. Also remind me, what movie did you lose to on opening weekend? Exactly. As for the movie itself, it was really stupid. It was a dumb CGI fest with generic characters and generic dialogue, but that's kind of what you've come to expect from this guy at this point. As for me, I kind of had fun with how stupid it was, but I wouldn't actively watch it again. I'd give it a 2.5 out of 5. Jackass Forever After, the movie that opens with a giant green penis monster blowing up miniature cities and jizzing all over everyone, and yet still more dignified than Moonfall. I had a good time with this one. I hadn't seen any of the other Jackass movies or the show, but I knew what it was, so kind of knew what to expect. Well, for the most part. There was admittedly a lot more cock and ball torture than I was expecting to see. And with a lot of the stunts, I did still find myself wincing and shouting, "Why?" quite often. The audience I saw this with was having a blast. The laughter and the reactions were electric, and I think that's why Jackass has gone on for this long. It's a bunch of guys having fun, doing stupid shit, and that's kind of all you need. I do think this should be the last one though, purely for the safety of its cast. Like I said, I had fun with this movie, and I think you will too. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. GameStop, Rise of the Players. This was a documentary centered around the GME stock situation last year, which I only casually followed, but it was a really interesting documentary. I can't say I'm going to start trading stocks, but I respect the hell out of those who followed them so closely, and even those who won big because of them. The 5 central players all had interesting stories, and it was cool seeing all of them brought together through this crazy journey. And of course, it's always satisfying seeing the little guy get the win over the 1%. If you were following the whole GameStop situation closely, then you probably won't get any new information out of this, but if you haven't or you're interested in investments, I'd say check this doc out. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Marry Me is the new rom-com starring Handifer Lopez and Owen Wowson, and it was exactly what I expected it to be. Mostly harmless, but not really great. With these kind of movies, you obviously have to suspend your disbelief, because in the real world, there is no way this plot would play out the way it does. The movie follows a lot of rom-com cliches. There's even a race to the airport. But the relationship between Lopez and Wilson is admittedly kind of sweet at parts. And that damn song is annoyingly catchy. If you need something to watch for Valentine's Day, I'd say this is fine. I'd give it a 2.5 out of 5. And finally, The Cursed. My housemate and I just saw this movie the other week, and I've already forgotten most of it. There were some silver teeth and werewolves, and a priest does something evil, and a lot of people die. I honestly don't remember this movie. The only thing that stood out was this extreme wide shot where this group of settlers ambush this group of gypsies, and it just annihilates all of them. That was cool. Everything else was just dull and boring. 2 out of 5, don't watch it. And that does it for this ketchup review. Let me know what you watched this month, and check out my reviews for Death on the Nile and Studio 666. Plus, stay tuned for my ketchup review Oscars edition, coming very soon.